Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I'm going to be talking about Ulyain village, the Rufra fruit. So there's one day where the villagers are in the player characters, are in Ulyain village, and as they're watching the villagers, they see that it's a heavy processing day for the Rufra fruit. Now, they've been familiar with what the Rufra fruit is because at this point the player characters are waiting for a period between 23 days from the day when they defeated the orcs all the way up. They helped the Ulyain villagers defeat the orcs all the way up to where the Ulyain village sells their harvest to essentially a team on a boat that comes to down the river, passes Ulyain village, stops, gives them gold, and then they turn over the Rufra fruit. Okay, that's the exchange. And then, so at that time, the Ulyain village right then is flush. They have, gold and goods and things that they've traded for their harvest. Okay, so on this day, if any of the player characters get near any of the villagers, or if they ask any of the villagers, one of the villagers will take the time to explain the Rufra fruit to them. And this is the explanation that they receive. So the Rufra fruit, it grows in the forest, deep in the forest. It grows in the area of the forest where the sun rarely touches, okay, because the trees are so thick. It grows in the darker areas of the forest, and it grows like ivy. So essentially, these tangle of small, long, quickly growing root branches spread out around the trees, around shrubs. They grow on other plants, and then that ivy type material actually creates these pods, and then within the pods are 5 to 9 peas. That actually is the little peas in the pods is the Rufra fruit. Okay. Now it cannot be eaten. It's poisonous to eat. Okay, for humans. Although actually, let's put it this way: the Ulyain say you don't eat this; it won't go well. They don't actually tell anybody that it's poisonous, and the Ulyain don't consider it a poison. And the reason why you'll find out in a moment. So what the Ulyain do is they go into the forest and they take this in shifts because it's a very unpleasant job. So they have to go into the forest where there's very little light. They have to find these pods. They then without tools, right? So they don't use metal. It's just part of their. They don't really use metal by and large across the whole group. It's really not part of their culture. So they have to break the branches by hand, and they break off 6-foot sections of this, and then they pile up those sections onto litters that they drag back into the village, okay? And these litters are usually like twice the size of a human being, right, that they're dragging. And so they drag these litters back in, and then when they get back to the village in the light, they take the time to go through all the leaves, pull out every pod, pull off every pod, and then they do not remove the peas from the pods, okay? They bundle those up, right? And then at that point, what they do, of course, also if there's any that they only get the healthiest pods, right? And so they get the best pods, and they just put them in small baskets. Okay, and they they generally cover them in leaves, these large leaves that are, and that's how they pack them, in these leaved bundles that are in baskets. Okay, and actually, one of the things that the player characters will realize is almost everything they do in the process is very inefficient, right? But the player characters have lived with the Ulyain long enough to know that the Ulyain are not doing it in an efficient way because they're not smart. They're very, very smart people. right? It's again part of the tradition. So the Ulyain have very strong traditions, and they keep to their traditions, and they value their traditions. They also believe that the way they live makes them strong, and makes them pure, and makes them and keeps them living in the right way. That is their belief, right? So basically they gather all this Rufra fruit, and then the reason they gather it is when you take one of the pods and you take out the peas, when you crush the pea, okay, you will get juice, right? And that juice can be added to water, or it can be made into a pure Rufra pool. And scrying is made far more powerful when you scry in a pool of the Rufra fruit. It lasts up to 3 times longer. It's clearer and it's more resonant. Okay, so it makes scrying much more efficient. And so there's a very strong. And then once that juice is collected, it really doesn't go bad, right? Once it's just put into any type of vial, it will stay pretty much indefinitely, okay? And so wizards have a very, very high interest in this Rufra fruit. The values do go up and down, but Rufra fruit is always valuable because wizards desire it, okay? So that is the Rufra fruit. And the villagers take great pride in explaining this process to the player characters, and they're also, you can tell, the player characters are also realize that the villagers are very excited that soon, one of the traders will come down the river and they'll trade for the Rufra. Okay, they also get the idea that there are multiple traders, right? There's not just one, and so and the way it works is the villagers will wait for a trader to come down the road. They'll see what offer they give, and if they like the offer, they'll trade it. And then the next trader who tries to trade with them is out of luck because they don't have any. And so that's the Rufra fruit. Take care.